So here is the clover plot again that I showed you recently. I mowed one path down the side of it, which is usually how it's supposed to look. This is usually the path I have alongside of it to get back there to the other plot to drive mower and ATV on and not have to run over the clover every time. But, you know, as you saw earlier, the clover is pretty well grown across the trail now, but this is after it's freshly mowed. It's actually mowed at 5 inches, but the clover's so matured that it looks like there was never clover here growing at all anyway, but it'll be back. But so here's the clover, and I want to say it's probably an average of 14 inches or so tall across the plot. It's pretty freaking tall. There is some broadleaf in here. You can see there's some big leafy weeds in here in some spots that we'd like to get out of here. We're not going to spray it. We're not going to do any kind of weed killer type stuff. But what we're actually going to just do is mow it. And this is the method that I've done with this plot for the last couple of years. This plot's on its 2nd year now. And it seems to be doing great. I don't care if there's a few weeds in it, a little bit of grass. It doesn't bother me, it doesn't bother the deer. For the most part, this plot produces tons, and even with a few weeds here and there, it does not bother the deer, and there's still more than enough food. So I'm gonna get to mowing this off right now and show you what it looks like when it's mowed. And the reason for mowing it is you do want to keep some of the big leafy weeds out of there. And when you mow it off, once those get kind of matured and established for the first time in early spring, early summer, if you mow that off, for the most part, the clover will grow and mature way quicker than the rest of it, since it's overtaking the whole area as it is, and it'll shade it out so quick that usually it can't really catch up and grow back as good as it used to. And then it'll kind of keep your weeds and, you know, some of your grasses out for the most part. But let's get to mowing this right now, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. And you almost wouldn't even believe that it's a clover plot when it's done being mowed. I'm gonna mow it at 5 inches, but even mowing it at 5 inches here with the 0 turn, it's gonna look like there was never even clover there. But I assure you, you come back in a week and this will be thick and lush, probably be 6 or 7 inches tall of just clover. So let's get to mowing it right now. Here is the plot completely mowed off. It looks like your front yard right after having it mowed. I mowed it off twice. I went over it once the first time. It was real rough, and I went over it again, both at 5 inches. You really can't hardly tell there was even clover planted here, other than when you come over here and look at some of the clippings, and you see all these clover tops mixed in here. But it's gonna grow back just fine, and I'll tell you why. Clover is a super durable and hardy plant. It's really hard to kill, other than if you literally spray it with like a super toxic Roundup or something. For the most part, it's very hardy, so you can mow it off, beat it down, you can drive through it with your ATVs or tractors or whatever, and it'll just rebound right back up. It's a super stout plant, and it reproduces amazingly. It spreads very nicely throughout the area wherever you plant it, and it just really holds in nicely as long as you can keep it mowed to where then it has to get a new shot of energy and shoot back up again. And I think this is actually going to help this plot, even though you're probably thinking, you mowed the entire plot off, how is that helping the plot? Well, clover, after it gets too big, it gets kind of tough. It gets kind of tough, and aged clover is kind of like an older deer. It's just doesn't taste as good. You'll still eat it. They'll still eat this. Just doesn't have the same taste to it, and it just gets kind of tough. And then if you mow it off like this, it's gonna not only produce even more clover, it's gonna give it that nice, young, tender tasting clover for the first few weeks of its regrowth. But then by the time fall comes around, it's not gonna be like, you know, chest height and super thick stems and just not super desirable. You know, that's just my theory on it, but this has worked well for us, and the deer seem to love it. We're gonna come back here in, I wanna say, about a week, and I'll give you an update on how this is turning out. That way I can show you what happens about a week after you mow off your clover. Well guys, it's been exactly 1 week since I mowed off that clover now. So I'm gonna actually go over here and I'm gonna show you, like I said, what happens after you mow it down to 5 inches is what I did, and it was, I mean, it was 15, 16 inch tall clover. I mean, it was some really, really tall stuff. I'm gonna see what this looks like. I have not been over here to see what it's done in just 1 week. It's been 7 days exactly. I'm gonna take the guess that it's probably shot back up to about 4 inches and probably looks like a nice lush bed of clover, but we'll see. We're almost over there. Coming around the corner for the first time. There it is. This is 7 days. You can tell where it wasn't planted. I just mowed this back, but this wasn't planted over here. It was only planted over here. Yeah. I mean, this stuff rebounded very nicely. You can see all the ends from it being cut. You see what I mean? I mean, it was tall. It was very, 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 very tall. So all this had to grow all new vegetation, all new clover leaves on it. I mean, it was cut down to the stems pretty much, even at 5 inches tall. The plants were so matured that at 5 inches tall, everything 5 inches off the ground was still just stems. So this is all new growth on this clover. And as you can see, it turned out very, very, very nice. No spraying, again, no spraying, no chemical, no fertilizer, no nothing. This is just the mowing method, and it seems to work very, very well for me. I've done it this way the last 5 years I've done clover. This is how I've done it. It's turned out pretty stinking good every time that I've done it. Couldn't be happier with the results. So here's actually the very, very back of this clover patch. And give you a close up here. It looks great. Looks very, very nice. Now guys, when I say that this method has worked great for me, I'm not saying, oh, this is the better method. There's no other method that's better. If this has worked for me, then that's the only way you should do it. There's obviously better ways to grow clover. Like if you have more time, little more finances and stuff like that, and you're wanting to go the extra mile and you want to spray and fertilize and all that stuff, soil test, lime, all that stuff, that's great. If you can do that, if you have the time to do that, that is awesome. For me personally, I like being able to till it, seed it, watch it sprout up, mow it after its first like 6 months, then it seems to do freaking great. And then the next spring, which is what it is now, late spring getting into early summer, mowed it off. And I'm probably not gonna mow it again for the rest of the summer unless it gets crazy out of hand with weeds or something. I'm probably just gonna let it grow and do its thing, but it's worked for me, it's worked well, and I've been very happy with the results. Well guys, that's gonna be it for showing you what happens when you mow off your clover at 5 inches. For me, if it's well established, it does really, really well. It rebounds very nicely. New growth, just I think the deer prefer it better than just letting it come up in the spring and never mowing it. I don't know if that's factually proven or not, but for me, I feel like that would be a more desirable crop, to have it mowed off and then have it reproduce new growth. But whether that's true or not, that's what I do. It seems to work well. We do have our hunt giveaway live now. So if you want to enter to win a deer hunt with us, we're actually giving away a hunt. So far, I think there's one person entered to win that hunt right now, which for this, I didn't think this was going to be anything crazy big. I just thought it'd be a cool experience to have one of you guys come out here and hunt with us. But there's a link in the description, lmpoutdoors.com. And essentially you can go to that website, buy anything you like on the store, and as soon as you check out, you're automatically entered to win a hunt, all expenses included, license, tag, travel, lodging, meals, everything's included, and a 2021 Killer Instinct Burner 415 crossbow. Guys, let me tell you, if you like hunting as much as I do, the experience you're gonna have hunting this property of ours is crazy. This place is freaking loaded with deer. Like, it is super loaded with deer. If you want to get in on that, guys, it's a heck of an experience you're not going to want to miss out on. Anyways, guys, link in the description. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.